Okay. All right, family. Today we're gonna get into something new. We're doing a couple of books, but right now we're gonna go to 100 amazing facts about the Negro with complete proof. It's by J.A. Rogers. I have quite a few little publications that we're gonna get into. Here's one. Black people are indigenous to America. This was our land that was stolen. We're gonna talk about the $5 Indian, how they let this beast come in and fraudulently claim our land. We're gonna talk about revealing America's dark skin past. Let me get that for you so you can see it. You know, parts, volumes 1 and 2. But right now, we're gonna do these 100 amazing facts about the Negro. Let's get it, family. Let's share the screen. Okay, we're gonna get right here. Alexa, resume.
He died on March 26, 1966 in New York. His work is his own monument to a brilliant, committed, highly idealistic man. To quote him, "Do we consider a man great because of the degree to which his life and actions affected humanity?" World's Great Men of Color, Volume 1, How and Why This Book Was Written, p. 21. Using this criterion alone, he was a great man. Ave Aquivale. Helga Rogers, 1995. There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Shakespeare. Quiz. In what very important respect of population does the Afro-American differ now from all the other various groups of which the United States is composed, including the Indian, but is like the French, German, English, Belgian, and other peoples in Europe? 2. When did the seizure of a Negro woman as a slave in the United States lead to a war of 2 years in the United States, in which 20.026 U.S. Army troops were engaged and during which a troop of 110 white soldiers was led by a trusted Negro into a trap where all but 4 were massacred? 3. In what American state is marriage between white and black legal in one part of the state and punishable with 2 years imprisonment in the other part? 4. A Negro girl saved George Washington from certain death at the beginning of the Revolution. Who was she? V. When did Abraham Lincoln order back into slavery 500,000 or more Negroes who had been declared free by one of his subordinates? Vi. What American vice president, because of his color and his features, was publicly denounced in Congress and in the press as being a Negro? 7. Beside the fact that the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, what most amazing fact is true of it? 100 amazing facts. 1. The white population of New York is a third more illiterate than the Negro one. 2. Benjamin Banneker, a Negro astronomer, made the first clock made in America in 1754. 3. The word coffee comes from Kaffa, Ethiopia, where it was first used, and where it still grows wild. 4. George Washington sent a Negro slave to Barbados to be exchanged for a hogshead of molasses, a cask of rum, and other good old spirits, in 1776. 5. The Negro arrived in the New World free from tuberculosis and syphilis or other venereal disease. Livingstone, the famous African missionary and a medical doctor, says, syphilis dies out in the African interior. It seems incapable of permanence in any form in persons of pure African blood. Syphilis originated in Europe in 1494, when there was a great epidemic of it. As this was 2 years after the discovery of the New World, it was erroneously believed to have been brought back by the sailors of Columbus. The arts. 6. The Negro was the first artist. The oldest drawings and carvings yet discovered were executed by the Negro peoples over 15,000 years ago in southern France, northern Spain, Palestine, South Africa, and India. The drawings are on rocks, the carvings on bone, basalt, and ivory. 7. The oldest known representation of the human body is that of a Negro woman. It was carved by a Negro sculptor of Grimaldi race from 10,000 to 15,000 years ago. It is called the Venus of Willendorf after the place in Austria where it was found, and is in the Vienna Museum. 8. Beethoven, the world's greatest musician, was without a doubt a dark mulatto. He was called the Black Spaniard. His teacher, the immortal Joseph Haydn, who wrote the music for the former Austrian national anthem, was colored too. 9. José Vasconcelos, El Negrito poeta, born of African Congo parents at Almalanga, Mexico, about 1710, wrote verses that were so popular that they entered into Mexican folklore and were printed annually on the calendars of Mexico until 1872, 112 years after his death. Ancient civilizations. 10. The Grimaldi, a Negro race, lived in Europe as late as 12,000 years ago. 2 complete Grimaldi skeletons are in the Museum of Monaco, near Monte Carlo. Abundant traces of their culture have been unearthed in southern and central Europe. 11. Elam, a mighty Negro civilization of Persia, flourished about 2900 B.C. and is perhaps older than Egypt or Ethiopia. One of its later Negro kings, Kudur-Nekhunta, conquered Chaldea and Babylon, and brought back to his capital Susa rich treasures, among which was the famous statue of the goddess Nana. Later it became the capital of Cyrus the Great and Darius. Susa is the Shushan of the Bible, where Esther the Jewess sought the favor of King Ahasuerus of Persia and Ethiopia. 12. Cheops, a Negro, built the Great Pyramid, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. It is 451 feet high, has 2,500,000 blocks of granite, each 2.5 tons, covers 13 acres, took 100,000 men 30 years to build, and was completed in 3730 B.C. 13. There were at least 18 Ethiopian or unmixed Negro rulers of ancient Egypt, the best known of which is Pianki. Leaving his country in Central Africa, Pianki conquered all Egypt to the mouth of the Nile in 750 B.C. 14. The Ganges, the sacred river of India, is named after an Ethiopian king of that name who conquered Asia as far as this river. 15. The most ancient lineage in the world is that of the Ethiopian royal family. It is said to be older than that of King George VI by 6,130 years. The Emperor Haile Selassie I, ruler of Ethiopia, traces his ancestry to King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, and beyond that to Cush, 6,280 B.C. 16. Negroes lived in America thousands of years before Columbus. Central American monuments show numerous carving of them as gods. When Columbus came to the New World, Negroes had been crossing from Africa to South America, a distance of 1,600 miles. The first white men to reach the American mainland tell of seeing Negroes. Columbus, who visited South America, said that he had heard of them there. 17. The present Negro race of Africa perhaps did not originate there, but Asia and Oceania. The earliest inhabitants of Africa were not black but brown. Today the peoples of mixed and unmixed Negro descent living in Asia and Oceania probably exceed in number the present Negro population of Africa. India has millions of Negroes. The purest Negro types are in southern Asia. In 1923, Dr. Joseph Rock, United States Department of Agriculture, discovered a hitherto unknown Negro race, the Nikis, 200,000 in number, in southern China. In 1934, E.W. P. Chinnery discovered an unknown Negro people in New Guinea, near Australia. He reports that they have a civilization superior to their neighbors, who live under white rule. 18. In the United States Army drafts in World War I, the Negro proved physically fitter than the white man. For every 100 men physically examined, the ratio of colored men found physically qualified for general military service was substantially higher than the ratio of the white men by just 5%, namely 74.60 against 69.71. Illiteracy and intelligence. 19. The peoples of southern Europe, including Italy, and most of those of Eastern Europe, including Russia, are more illiterate than the Negroes of the United States. In 70 years, Negro illiteracy has fallen off about 80%. In 1870, it was 82%. In 1930, 16.3. 20. Afro-American illiteracy is 3 times higher than the white one. Nevertheless, when certain states are matched against certain others, there are surprising comparisons. For instance, the Negroes of California, Minnesota, New York, Nevada, South Dakota, Oregon, and Washington are less illiterate than the native whites of white parentage in Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, and New Mexico. New York, Minnesota, Oregon, and South Dakota Negroes are less illiterate than Mississippi whites. The Negroes of these 7 states are less illiterate by 100 to 400% than the foreign-born whites of all the states, save one. 21. In the United States Army intelligence tests during World War I, the Negroes of Pennsylvania, New York, Illinois, and Ohio led the whites of Mississippi, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Georgia by from 1 to 7%. 22. 2 centuries ago, the Negroes of South Africa and the Northern Europeans both practiced a form of cannibalism that was strikingly similar. Of the vital organs of slaying foes, the Negroes made a muti or charm against evil. Sometimes they ate the heart of a brave man, believing that it gave added courage. The Europeans would roast or dry the bodies of hanged criminals. Of these they made mumia, a medicine for internal and external use, which was supposed to have peculiar curative charm. In 1683, when the Germans defeated the Turks at Ofen, Switzerland, thousands of surrendered Turks were treated in this manner. An army surgeon who was present wrote, "None were given grace. All were massacred, and in most cases they were skinned, the fatty parts were roasted, and the genitals cut off, dried, and put into big sacks. And of this they made precious mumia." Regular cannibalism existed in Germany as late as 1650. Exploration. 23. Espanico, Negro from Morocco, was one of a party of 4 to cross the North American continent in 1536 for the first time. The journey took 9 years. In 1539, he headed an expedition that discovered Arizona and New Mexico. Espanico's travels served to open up the Southwest and the states west of Florida, as far as the Pacific. 24. The founder of the city of Chicago was Baptist Point de Sayable, a Negro, in 1779. 25. Tipu Tip, a Negro trader in slaves and ivory, from Zanzibar, East Africa, was the first civilized man to penetrate the center of Africa. He explored territory nearly as large as the United States. Stanley Weissman Cameron and other white explorers followed in his path. He died in 1905, very rich. 26. For 2,234 years, human beings had been trying to reach the top of the world. Thousands of lives and millions of dollars were lost in the attempt. On April 6, 1909, Matthew Henson, a New York Negro, was the first of a party of 6 to do so. He is now, 1943, the only human being alive to have stood there. The first Arctic explorer was Pytheas, a Greek, who perished in the attempt in 325 B.C. Science and Invention. 27. Jan Ernest Montseliger, a Dutch West Indian Negro living in Lynn, Massachusetts, invented the first machine for sewing the soles of shoes to the uppers. This invention, which was 11 years in the making, revolutionized the industry and gave shoe supremacy to the United States. It made several millionaires, one of whom left $4 million to Harvard University. Overwork and privation hastened Montseliger to his grave in 1889 at the age of 37. He left a few shares of stock to a white church, which later saved it from being sold for debt. 28. George Washington Carver of Tuskegee Institute, one of the world's greatest agricultural chemists, was awarded the Roosevelt Medal in 1939 for distinguished service in the field of science. From the peanut he has extracted 285 products, and from the sweet potato, 118. Dr. Carver was born a slave. Thomas Edison once offered him a large salary to take charge of one of the Edison laboratories, but Carver refused in order to continue the work he had begun with Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee Institute. Jews and Ethiopians. 29. The Mohammedans believe that Moses was a black man. Their Bible, the Quran, says so. God told Moses to put his hand into his bosom. The Quran says that it came out white. The commentators declare that Moses' hand could not have been white before, and that the miracle Jehovah intended was making the black skin white, and then turning it black again. The Septuagint, or Greek Bible, agrees with the Quran. 30. The characters of the Bible are largely Negroes. The Jews were slaves to the Egyptians for nearly 430 years. Only 70 Jews went to Egypt with Jacob. The Bible says that 600,000 men left with Moses, which according to Haushofer, meant a total of 3,154,000 with women and children. For this large number to have left mixing with the Egyptians, who were black, must have taken place on a vast scale. About 12 million Negroes were brought to the New World. Imagine how much of their original color and culture the latter would take with them, should they return to Africa, and you realize how much of the original Jew remain in only those 70 Jews after 4 centuries. Tacitus, Roman historian of 90 AD, says that the Romans of his day popularly believed that the Jews, which then abounded in Europe, came from Ethiopia, the land of the blacks. The present white color of the European and American Jew is very likely due to the same cause as the fair skin and straight hair of large numbers of Negroes. The Bible classes the Ethiopian and the Jew together. Are ye not as the children of Ethiopia unto me, O children of Israel, saith the Lord? Chaldea, the land in which the Jews originated, was also a Negro land, hence Abraham might also have been black. 31. The Philoshes or Negro Jews of Ethiopia, led by Queen Judith, put the line of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba off the throne of Ethiopia in 937 A.D. and ruled for 40 years. The Philoshes assert that they are the original Jews. They call themselves the Beta Israel, or the chosen people. 32. The Negro Jews of India are not permitted to enter the same synagogues as the white ones, nor to bury their dead in the same cemeteries. Medicine. 33. Imhotep of ancient Egypt was the real father of medicine. He lived about 2300 B.C. Greece and Rome had their knowledge of medicine from him. In Rome he was worshipped as the Prince of Peace in the form of a black man. His Ethiopian portraits show him a Negro. Imhotep was also prime minister to King Zoser, as well as the foremost architect of his time. The saying, "Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die," has been traced to him. Hippocrates, the so-called father of medicine, lived 2,000 years after Imhotep. 34. Ibn Ali, an African Negro, was private physician to Charles VII, King of France, 1403 to 1465. When the king fell dangerously ill at Toulouse, Ibn Ali was sent for and cured him. Thereafter the king made him a member of his suite. 35. Dr. C. Tavares, an African Negro, was the private physician to King Carlos I of Portugal, until the latter's death in 1908. 36. Dr. Daniel Williams, Chicago surgeon who died in 1931, was the first to perform a successful operation on the human heart. Politics. 37. France has had 6 colored cabinet ministers: Severiano de Heredia, 1887, Senator Henri Lemery, 1915 to 1918, and 1934, Alcide Delmont, 1928, Blaise Diagne, 1931, Gracian Candace, 1932, Gaston Monerville, 1937. De Heredia, as Minister of Public Works, built some of France's finest roads. 38. Eugene Chen, one of the most dynamic political figures of the present century, and Minister of Foreign Affairs for China in 1927, was born of Chinese Negro parentage in Trinidad, West Indies, in 1878. He was also secretary to Dr. Sun Yat-sen, first president of China. Race mixing. 39. Persina, a queen of Ethiopia 60 B.C. presented her husband Hydaspes with a light-colored child, which color is strange among Ethiopians. She declared that it was due to the presence of a white statue in the room at the time of conception. Similarly, Maria Theresa of Spain and Austria, wife of Louis XIV, King of France, bore him a mulatto daughter in 1665. The queen spent most of her time with a Negro dwarf named Nebo, while the king passed most of his with the beauties that thronged his court. The doctors explained the color of the child by saying that the black man looked at the queen. "It must have been a very penetrating look," said the king wrathfully. A noted writer of that time attributed the color of a similar child, born to a high noblewoman, to the mother's fondness for chocolate. 40. Anna, a Negro servant girl of Calavecchio, Italy, wife of a white mule driver, became the concubine of Pope Clement VII. Her son Alessandro, born 1511, became reigning Duke of Florence, and married Margaret, only daughter of the Emperor Charles V, ruler of Germany, the Netherlands, Austria, and Spain in 1536. 41. White American slaveholders used to induce white women to marry Negro slaves in order to hold the women slaves for life. 42. Thomas Jefferson, third President of the United States, and father of the Declaration of Independence, was the father of a large number of mulatto children. His wife protested loud and long to no avail. Patrick Henry, another signer of that document, had a Negro son named Melanchthon. 43. Napoleon planned to solve the color problem in Haiti by making it legal for each man to take 3 wives, one white, one mulatto, the other black. He had several conferences with the theologians on this grand measure, and tried to win the consent of the Pope. 44. In 1787, while a party of 351 freed Negroes was aboard ship at Portsmouth, England, en route to Sierra Leone, West Africa, the authorities brought on board 62 white women, prostitutes and others, whom they wished to get rid of, and married them to as many men, and sent them off to be the future mothers of the colony. 45. In the 1850s, Mrs. Laban, an Englishwoman, was queen of the slave traders at Rio Pongo, one of the principal slave posts in West Africa. She had a fort armed with cannon and armed by 300 devoted blacks. She had 3 mulatto children by a Negro, a boy and 2 girls. One of the latter married a white slave trader, and the other, a British consul. 46. The Countess de Beauharnais, who was related by marriage to Napoleon, married a full-blooded Haitian Negro named Castin, who was a member of the Paris Convention of 1792 to 1795. Religion. 47. The oldest and most noted statue in the world bears the face of a Negro. It is the Sphinx of Giza, which was worshipped as Horus, Cr Harmachis, the sun god of light and life. It was erected about 5000 B.C. The devil, which is now depicted as black, was once portrayed as white. When the black man dominated the planet, he painted the forces of evil white. When the whites came into power, they shifted the colors. But as late as 1500, the Ethiopians still depicted their gods and heroes black, and their devils and villains white. Father Fernandez, a Catholic missionary, who worked amongst them at this time, says, they paint Christ, the Blessed Virgin, and other saints in black form, and devils and wicked men white. Thus Christ and his apostles are black and Judas white. Annas, Caiaphas, Pilate, Herod, and the Jews are white, while Michael is black, and the devil white. 48. Nearly all of the ancient gods of the Old and New World were black and had woolly hair. Buckley says, from the woolly texture of the hair I am inclined to assign to the Buddha of India, the Fui of China, the Zaha of the Japanese, and the Quetzalcoatl of the Mexicans, the same and indeed an African, or rather, a Nubian origin. In the Bible, God, or the Ancient of Days, is described as having hair like the pure wool. The earliest statues of the Virgin Mary and Christ in Europe as far north as Russia were black and Negroid. 49. The Bible really originated in ancient Egypt, where the population, according to Herodotus and Aristotle, was black. Here the Jews received almost all of their early culture. Professor Breasted, leading Egyptologist, says, the ripe social and moral development of mankind in the Nile Valley, which is 3,000 years older than that of the Hebrews, contributed essentially to the formation of Hebrew literature. Our moral heritage therefore derives from a wider human past enormously older than the Hebrews, and it has come to us rather through the Hebrews than from them. 50. Psalms that read like those of the Bible were written by a pharaoh, Amenephis IV, better known as Akhenaten, the heretic king, 1300 B.C., or more than 400 years before David was born. Akhenaten, who was the father of Tutankhamun, was extremely Negro in type. He is called the most remarkable of the pharaohs. 51. Ethiopians, that is Negroes, gave to the world the first idea of right and wrong, and thus laid the basis of religion, and of all true culture and civilization. The earliest exposition of this yet found is in the so-called Memphite drama, which is known only through a copy on a slab of basalt made by order of an Ethiopian king in 700 B.C. 52. There were 3 African popes of Rome, Victor, 189 to 199 A.D., Melchiades, 311 to 312, and Saint Gelasius, 496 A.D. It was Melchiades who led Christianity to final triumph against the Roman Empire. 53. The celestial saint of Germany is Saint Maurice, a pure Negro. While in command of a Roman legion in Gaul, Switzerland, in 287 A.D., he refused to attack the Christians when ordered to do so by the Emperor Maximian Herculeus, for which he was killed. His picture is in many German cathedrals and museums, sometimes with a German eagle on his head. Recent pictures of Hitler, nearly 1,700 years later, show Hitler also with the same emblem on his head.
Alexa, pause. Okay, family, we're gonna stop there. We're gonna go to rulers next, but we're gonna go to the front of the book. Go to cover. Okay, here we go. This is we're gonna go back to starting this in the next section. 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro with Complete Proof by J.A. Rogers. We got a lot of things to talk about what America has done to us, from stealing our land, to lying about our history, to fabricating history, to being murderers, thieves, destroyers of this planet. The devil is real, and this is a spiritual war that spiritual people have to take their rightful place and align themselves with the universe. And our ancestors and God will do the rest. We don't have to harm each other, anybody. We just have to retract from their lies in the matrix and return to our prominence in our God zone. And that's not hard, family. We just have to give them back their lie. So we're gonna end this on rulers. We're gonna go back to rulers. Page your location. Okay, let me go back. Cancel. Okay, we're gonna end up where we left off. We're gonna get back to the rulers. I'm gonna get back to where we need to be, family. There you go. We left off right here. So we have a lot of things to talk about, you know. This is amazing. So I'm gonna give y'all real history, and we're gonna learn to love ourselves once again and stop killing one another and murdering our babies. We have to get this drug dealing. We have to get this demon. We have to get this murder, this rape, this theft out of our communities and out of our system. We have to reconstruct our mind state and get our sanity back. We have become lunatic like Satan. So we need to find our God zone once again and get some balance in our communities and give Satan and cast him back to the pits of hell. So let's love one another, family, and let's get this history going. We're gonna start this history lesson, and we're gonna rock with it. I promise you that. We're gonna rock with it. I love y'all, man, and we're finna get it going.